Good evening and welcome to the full moon psychic forecast, the 5 things that we need to know. So I'm going to start this by talking a little bit about some of the astrology, numerology, some of the energetics behind the supermoon in Aries. So it's a full moon and supermoon in Aries. And 5 things that we need to know, so I'll cover those. And I've got some recommended spiritual exercises that we could do. And I also have divination cards. We can get some spontaneous messages. So the full moon, that's when the moon's at its peak power. It's in opposition of the sun. And it's a good time to know what the energies are doing, how they're likely to play out. The intense part is going to be the next 3 to 4 days, but the energy is going to carry through the lunar cycle and into the next one. So I'm going to say a few quick hellos while the live people are getting their notifications. You may notice I'm in a different setting. I'm cat sitting, so I'm have this very nice fireplace in the background. So I've got a really beautiful setting here. So hello, Chloe. Oh, happy birthday again, Millie. And Suzette and Susan and Antonio, welcome. Anybody's new and you want to say who you are, where in this great wide world you're tuning in from, by all means, feel free. Hello, Roseanne, welcome back, and Suzette and Karen. And I saw a lot of you in tarot time earlier, so thanks for coming back for this live stream. And Michael's in, great. Pandora, and if I missed anybody, I apologize. I think I covered everyone. Only 20 on the chat. Yvonne, hello. Stephanie, Kathleen, I missed a lot of people. Anthragal, Betsy, right? That's you, Anthragal, Laura, Karen, Yvonne, Millie, and yes, hi from Australia. So it's already Sunday, midday Sunday? I mean Monday, I'm sorry, Sunday here, Sunday evening here. And hello from Hot Springs, British Columbia. Wow, very good. All right. So, and lots of love and hugs to everybody. So let me just grab a little sip of water. We're about 2.5 minutes in, so I think it's time to get going. So it's a super moon, right? That just means the full moon is closer to its perigee than average. October, November, and December full moons will all be super moons, basically. So the effects are stronger. And last month there was an eclipse, so that intensified the effects. So it's a little bit off that eclipse energy. So the opposition isn't exact. I mean, astrologically it is, but not longitudinally or vertically or whatever. It's the moon's not quite on the elliptic anymore, but it's closer and it's still very powerful. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. So I have, of course, in my notes everything that's important. Now, here in the States, Canada, South America, points west of the international date line. The full moon is in October the 6th. Here on the East Coast, it's 11:48 p.m., so by 11 minutes. But everywhere east, it's on the 7th. And in Greenwich Mean Time, it's on the 7th. So when I'm looking at the numerology, we may have some feline visitors. I'm cat sitting, so the cats are kind of like, this looks good. Let's see what he's doing. But then anyways, so I take Greenwich Mean Time as the numerology, and that would make this a 17 day. So the full moon is happening during a 17 day. But since a lot of us are in the United States and Canada that watch these videos, still that 16 energy, which is the tower, which is the shattered citadel in Chaldean numerology, is relevant. But 17 is the number. It reduces to 8, so that's a good abundance for the harvest moon. So we're in the harvest moon, right? So that's a good abundance energy. With that, 17 is the star, so it's very spiritual energy. It's the star card in tarot. It's the star is the symbol in Chaldean numerology. So it's that very optimistic, very spiritual, very Aquarian energy, even though 8 is Saturn ruled, but Saturn and is sort of like the secondary rulership of Aquarius anyway. Uranus is the primary. And Uranus and Saturn are, of course, very active because the four outer planets are still in harmonious alignment. Now, I'll get to more of that. So hello, Lisa and Lynn and Debbie K from Brooklyn. Welcome. And a few more people got in. So little bit of that. So this adds a really positive spiritual energy. So it's kind of like the energy of the old towers falling, but yet the optimism of the new earth and the new energy coming in is kind of both interlaid in this full moon energy. So it's a very yin and yang quality that we have this time. Oh yeah, to talk about the great weather. Do I look? Yeah, I did get a couple of hours of sun today. I actually took a little bit of time off, so that's good. So there's not a ton of major aspects aligning with this full moon. I will say that geometrically speaking, that Saturn and Neptune are still conjunct. Astrologically, Saturn's actually retrograde has gone retrograde into Pisces. So they're actually in different signs where Neptune, do I have that right or do I have that in opposite? I didn't bring my ephemeris, but I think Neptune is still in Aries, but it's going to go into Pisces. And then Saturn's already retrograde back into Pisces. But I might have that in opposite. So astrologically, that wouldn't be considered a conjunction. This is Western astrology I'm talking. In sidereal astrology or Vedic astrology, they're both in the same sign. They're both in Pisces. But anyway, that's beside the point. And then we have Uranus flanking in the sign of Gemini in Western, sextiling that conjunction. And on the other side, Pluto is also sextiling, so sort of a grand sextile. So Pluto and Uranus are trining. Harmonious. It's been that way for a while. It's really guiding the energy. And even though October itself shows a lot of volatility for a lot of fast change, what's happening is we're being guided through it. So there's a guiding force that's kind of sort of buffering some of this really intense energy that we're going through right now. I'm just looking at your comments. Saturn heads retro back into Pisces. Thank you, Karen. 85 in New Hampshire. Reached about 82 to 83 where I am in the Catskills. Beautiful weather. So a couple of other aspects is that Mercury is squaring Pluto at the time. Mercury in Scorpio. So that brings that Pluto energy and Pluto. So Pluto wins out in that square because Mercury's in Pluto's rulership. And then Pluto is in Aquarius. So that's a very energizing square. Let me turn the pings off. Is that the right? Yeah, this is the right one. Let me know if you can hear me. I don't think that interrupted with the outgoing sound, just the incoming sound. So we have that square. Squares kind of provide energy, sometimes tension to the mix. Yeah, Pluto again is this very kind of underworldly, like Pluto, the god of the underworld, right? So it's very much about transmutation, alchemy, evolution, kind of like that energy. Mercury is very transient. It's the fastest mover in the zodiac. It communicates, it energizes, it speeds things up. It's also the healer. And Scorpio with that Pluto energy is very healing energy. It's very divine feminine. It's really about the poisons and the medicines and how we can apply our own consciousness to transmute the poisons out there in the world that we're being subjected to medicine and to things that are beneficial. So this is a good energy to be the alchemist, basically, and to transmute that energy. Venus is also having a nice sextile with Jupiter, and those planets are super compatible. Venus in Virgo, Jupiter in Cancer. So we have those nice energies and those nice alignments kind of in here also. And I'm just peeking. You can hear me. Good. Glad to hear. So sound is fine outgoing. Then you won't hear the pings every time I get a notification, which is a little annoying. So that's good. And there's a few minor aspects of other things going on. I'm not really covering the asteroids or what's going on with that, but it's fairly strong. So anyway, moving right along. So the first thing we need to know about this very powerful full moon at 14 degrees, did I mention that the moon's at 14 degrees Aries? If I did not, I neglected to do that. Well, guess what? The full moon's going to be 14 degrees Aries. 14 is a 5, reduces to 5. It's the temperance. It's very healing. It's very balancing. It's very uplifting. Aries initiates. It's the new beginning. It's very fiery. It's Mars. It can be a little bit aggressive, but the 14 kind of mitigates that. So there's a real buffering effect. We're getting hit with such intense energy, solar flares. There were 2 measurable nova explosions reached the Earth last week. There's the interstellar object, 3i Atlas, and 6 other solar system wandering comets in the inner solar system right now. Tons of energy, and the spiritual energy is off the hook. You guys are feeling it, I know. And this is really very expansive, very brilliant, bright energy that we're in. But it can be very powerful, but it's very healing also. So anyway, first thing that we need to know, I'm jumping around a little bit, everything intensified. The storm has arrived. So this is the first thing to know. We are in a cosmic storm, and basically all that means is that we're in vibrational rough weather right now. But what do storms do on planet Earth? They balance energy, right? Without storms, the equator would be too hot and the poles would be too cold. So it mixes the air. Storms cleanse. With the strong winds, it's a cleansing. With the rain, it's very cleansing. So we're in a cosmic storm to cleanse all the ills of old Earth from thousands of years as we start to ease into and transition more into new Earth, more into that higher consciousness where those frequencies of compassion, gratitude, and love start to prevail over those lower frequencies of greed and power over others. So it's a real transitional energy. So that's what the storm is about. I guess I'm drinking a lot of water. It was in the sun, right? All right. So anyway, I have a few notes about that. So we have something Scorpio. Mercury in Scorpio squares Pluto. So that intensified everything. That's a little bit stormy. What's that? The expression red sun in morning, sailors take warning. So we have Scorpio has that scorpion. That's that Aries has that red fiery energy. And it's also a supermoon, which intensifies things. So, so emotions intensify. So Scorpios are very much about intensifying the emotions. That powerful Plutonian water sign. So we have that working in, and I wish I could read my writing, but emotions intensify. What we something in the world intensifies, like the reaction, how we react to the world, and the reactions, like we need it to intensify anymore. So it's just a good idea to be aware that these energies, not everybody's handling it. And with this full moon, it's getting like a little bit of a bump up. It's sort of kicking all that up a notch. So it's a good idea, firstly, when you go out, open your heart to send a lot of love, maybe to put a circle of protection around you and learn to duck. Just kidding. So there's that. So how we react. So there's a tendency to maybe react more strongly without thinking. What do we do? I'm learning to follow my own advice, frankly, but what it's a good idea to learn to do is to take a deep breath rather than to react to something outrageous. If we can just do that, let it sit, let it ruminate for a minute, let spirit kind of, what's the right word, balance things, then you'll respond in a positive way rather than reacting negatively. So there's a very reactive energy. So this full moon, because the full moon, it intensifies the tides. It creates a stronger gravitational vector, and that intensifies the energy. So we're in the storm, there's a tendency for some of our strongest storms to happen around full moons, also new moons, because there's that added intensity with that. So it's intensifying what's been going on. We've sort of been in the cusp of it for a few years. Now we're entering into the heart of the storm. This is the earth changes, and we'll come out, and some will need to do other things. So not everybody's going to ascend at the same rate, but enough will that after storms, what do? Like the crews come in, they rebuild the structure. So we rebuild the structures of society that are more fair. We build a stronger foundation. If there's like a bad hurricane in Florida, like many years ago, and that structures got leveled, what happened? They enact different building codes to build structures that can withstand the next storm, basically. So it's that kind of energy that we're in. Solar activity, geological activity will increase with the super full moon combined with the comets and other factors. So one of the things that they were saying is to stay strong in our frame, in other words, to be solid in yourself, basically ground. And if you're grounded and centered and strong in your frame, you'll be able to withstand all this energy, these frequencies and all the craziness out there. So you'll be able to withstand the changes in society, as well as the increase in energetic frequencies and velocities of energies that are affecting us a lot more than if you're not. So that the idea is hunker down. We're in the storm, right? And getting very grounded, doing breath work to strengthen your auric fields, to feel very solid in your body, who you are. All that stuff is going to really mean a lot. So the super moon combined with other factors which increases its tendency toward earthquakes and volcanoes and making physical storms stronger also. So we've got all that energy and more energy, both yeah, I wish I could read my notes. Anyway, hello everybody. I'm still here. More energy, both both geological, geomagnetic, solar, and all that, but also more spiritual energy, change in the whole system. So it's more energy that's coming in both spiritually as well as what's being expressed by the sun. We were in over 72 hours straight of G2, G2 to G3 storming, and then it went down to G1, then it went out of a solar storm, and then back in. And now we've got a couple of minor filaments that are going to hit the Earth, another coronal hole. And we have the, what's it called, the Russell-McPherson effect, where solar activity tends to affect the magnetism of Earth more right around and just after the equinoxes. So the long and the short of it is that the whole Earth system, the atmosphere, as well as our energetic systems, are being charged up by this energy. The magnetism increasing, radiation's increasing, all the stuff. So it's adding fuel basically, and that's going to express. So again, be aware. So what's about more energy? So you feel different and respond differently as this is happening. The storm cleanses, so it's a time for purging the really deep stuff, but it's also raising the collective. It's upgrading us. So that's the higher energies. So it feels like change will be more progressive than sudden. So even though some things may change suddenly, it feels like it's a process. So, a few things will be shocking in this lunar cycle, but I think it's going to be more progressive change than just like just getting hit over the head and blown away by everything, to be honest. But there could be shocking surprise or two, but significant nonetheless, even if it's more progressive change. So people become even more on edge. So again, pack some patience for your protection up and all that good stuff. So this leads to part two, the second thing that we need to know as we drink more water. And by the way, tomorrow I may do it at 7 rather than 8. I was going to try to get all my work done and go hiking. I just don't see myself having time to do all that tomorrow. So I'll probably do that. So what we do is I do some frequency channeling and work with the master teachers to help us to energetically sink in and align more with these full moon energies, so we benefit more from the positive effects and we negate any of the negative effects. So it's very powerful work. If you haven't done it, you should give it a try. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. here on the Medium channel. So the second thing is spiritual revolution. Revolution is in the air. So 2 kind of piggybacks off of 1. So we have that number 17. That's evolution, revolutionary in a good way. It's an 8. It reduces to 8, so it's the star card. The planet Uranus becomes very active. And of course, Uranus is involved in that 4 planetary alignment, and the sign Aquarius with Pluto's in. So all of that very active. The energy spikes, the veils get thin. The full moon, the energy spikes this full moon that this full moon provides will lead to both purging and spiritual awakening, healing, depending on what you need. Basically, so it's a good time, really. Like during this energy, we're in the full moon now. It's almost 24 hours away. It's about 27 hours away. So we're right in it now. So it's a very good time to work on all the awakening practices. So it's good to be eating light and healthy, drinking lots of water. I've been downing the lemon water big time myself. If you drink lemon water, it's a good idea to get fresh water and rinse your mouth out after you drink it, because over time lemon juice can wear the enamel down on your teeth. So that's good to know. So a very good time to work on awakening practices. We see this in the world too. Leads to greater disparity between the awakened and the unawakened. So part of the spiritual revolution is the war against spirituality that we have, or if you don't like the word war, we could say the pushback against spirituality. Because there's certain forces that want to control the world, control you and me. We know that. We talk about that a lot around here. And humanity awakening is their worst nightmare. So they're on many, many different levels. There's attacks against our spiritual growth. There's continued pressure to try to cut us off from our own divinity. And we're cut off from our own power source, which is God, spirit, right? Whatever word you want to use. Then we're more vulnerable, firstly, to programming, then disease, dissatisfaction, unhappiness, and all that stuff that leaves us open to be more easily controlled, to be fearful, to be worried. So when you're really connected to spirit and you're really with your divinity, that this everything that's going on has a reason. You're going to be okay. Yes, not everybody is going to be fare as well as you will, but they will be protected also. The ones that have to suffer through all the changes, the conflicts in the world, the natural stuff. But you just know that there's a higher force that's guiding this, and humanity is going to be okay. So that's part of that as well. So what else? Then we're going to wait. So we see this in the world too, leads to greater disparity between the awakening. All right, so we just explained that as well. So the third thing to know is the eyes to the sky. So all eyes are on the sky for several reasons. And today, I went out in the sun. We did tarot time at 11. Then I did a few things, and I went and sat by the creek that's right near my house, the Esopus Creek. And I just kind of meditated. I just saw in my mind. Firstly, I saw, it looked like portal, like spirally portal that was sort of kind of waving in and out. Then it was sort of like a three-dimensional torus shape. And then all of a sudden I was just sensing and seeing tons of extraterrestrials, just like countless, like I feel like there were thousands of them like watching me. I mean, they may not have literally been, but that was the feeling that I get. And I know that we have help and we have guidance. I'm very sure, I can't prove it, but I believe that we are seated, that we're part of a much larger community that includes other star systems and other planets. And we are in the process of a huge evolution and change. We're shifting to our next level. And we've attracted attention from a lot of benevolent beings, and maybe one or two less benevolent ones, but a lot of benevolent beings are watching over us. And they won't interfere, but they're guiding humanity in the awakening, because we bear some of their DNA. We are connected. We're brothers with brothers brothers and sisters from mothers from another planet, basically. So there was that. So I do believe that this lunar cycle and going into the end of the month now, I think it was in the yearly psychic forecast I did last December, that I talked about significant contact with with extraterrestrial beings late in the year 2025 and 2026. Now, somebody, I think it was on the Tarot Time thread, mentioned that Bashar, I don't really follow their work, had said that there's going to be contact in 2026. I believe from what I've heard that his channelings have been quite accurate. I mean, it's always fluid, so it's never 100%, no matter who it is. But in any event, so we got visions of the extraterrestrial in the sky, lots. We may get the next big sign of extraterrestrial beings, more communication sightings, more tangible evidence. So I think this is precipitating that upswing in that kind of energy. Also, more insights into 3i Atlas. I don't know if I wrote this in my notes, but I'm remembering that I had a vision when it was at its perihelion. That would be its closest approach to the sun, which is October 21st, right when R2 Swan comet is at its closest approach to the Earth, at its perigee, basically. I just got this image of like a piece coming off of it, like not so much it's splitting, but the part of it gets expelled. And I'll probably do more videos on it because I still haven't gotten any tangible information from my guys that this is like an extraterrestrial craft or beings. I'm not taking that off the table because there's people out there that I respect greatly that believe that it is. So we'll see what the truth is. But I believe it taps into the same cosmic intelligence that our brains do. So I don't necessarily get like it's a life form, but I get a sense of it being alive and conscious and exchanging information with our universe, with some greater, I think it's interdimensionally intelligent and it's connected to interdimensional intelligence. But you could argue that it's a rock from a different star system. I mean, if you believe that, you may be, we don't know. Until we know, we don't know. But I really have all along, and I got my first video up on, I think, on the 21st of August when I did remote viewing. And then as the weeks followed, a lot of that verified. I even used a green comet in the thumbnail, but it wasn't known that it was going to turn green at that time. It was more like rusty brown at that time, I guess, or whatever. It wasn't green anyway. So anyway, some more insights into 3IA as well as the comets. A lot of new discoveries. And though I maintain this interstellar object, it may possess interdimensional qualities of higher intelligence, even life. So I had that in my notes. It could be some more auroras and unexplainable sky anomalies. I want to say closer to mid-month that we may get another big solar activity. It can happen anytime. And the other thing to keep in mind, and one of the the effects of this full moon, I explained this on Tarot Time a little bit, that the Earth it has its magnetosphere, its ionosphere, right? But even broader, sort of like a plasmasphere that extends into the orbit of the moon. This, according to Stefan Burns. I'll try to do a little bit more research on that myself, but that's what I understood from his teachings. And so whenever there's a full moon or a new moon and it's in opposition, like with the sun, its effects amplify and it affects the plasma fields of the Earth. But give it a supermoon that's closer, so it's a closer effect. So we have 3i Atlas that has at least on infrared spectrometry, is that the right word? On the infrared, it shows a plasma field, a dusty plasma field, half the diameter of the sun, maybe a little bit larger. That doesn't show up on the visible spectrum, but still, that's a very big, and it's going to be at its closest approach 1.8 astronomical units, I believe, from the sun, which isn't like in the orbit of Mercury, like how Oumuamua was, but it's larger. It's got, Oumuamua didn't have any plasma field, or it's a very small one if it had it. This has a much larger one, so it's farther away, so it's not as impactful. And the reason I'm mentioning Oumuamua is that in 2017, the two largest flares of solar cycle 24 happened 3 years off the peak. It was well in its descending phase. I mean, it had the two strongest flares, and then that was followed by an 8.2 magnitude earthquake in Mexico. So, we're finding there's relationships between the solar flares, the activity, that if just injecting energy into the Earth system, into the atmosphere. And if anything is close, if the tension is high enough, that could be the catalyst. So again, that's something to keep in mind. So, so what else? All right, let's move on. So the fourth thing is new beginnings, and Aries, full moon is in Aries. That's a sign of new beginnings. All full moons intensify the energy. So there's that intensity of energy that can be applied to manifestation. And again, it's the first sign. It's also the harvest moon. So we have these energies. It's very good for manifestation. There's also like endings. So it's like endings and new beginnings kind of both show up in this energy. It's a supermoon in Aries. New beginnings and initiation of ideas or energies applied in different directions gets a boost. So in other words, with the outer planet like Pluto still in Aquarius, that's about very evolution, think outside the box. Uranus, in harmonious alignment and all that kind of good stuff. It's think outside the box energy basically, and think that are off the beam path, or it's good for new beginning to take a different direction. So also energetically favors purging, cleansing, releasing, and endings. 14 degrees Aries favors working towards and taking the next step towards being free. Why is that? 14 reduces to 5. That's the number of freedom in numerology. And 14 is a very kind of balanced, gentle version of that very healing version of that energy. In fact, in the tarot, the Temperance card, key 14, had Archangel Raphael, the healer, on it, which leads to number 5, supernatural healing. So this is a really good energy to work on healing yourself or developing your abilities to send healing energy to others, Reiki and other practices like that. Hello, Unspoken Stillness, and who else got on? Mary Santa, and anybody that I missed, hi. I noticed a couple new people came in. So supernatural healing, spiritual healing. Mercury aspects, so it's aspecting Pluto, right? Even though it's a square, it's an energizing aspect. 14 degrees Aries, close proximity to Earth, enhances the healing potentials. And both tendencies to heal things that were unhealable before comes up. So if you've been working on like mind over matter, I've done that. Quick story is that I have minor scoliosis. I have a displaced vertebrae, and I have arthritis in my spine that's described as degenerative arthritis. Now I'm 57, 67. That's how old I'm. 67 years old. I do my mind over matter. In my mind, my back's perfect. There's no problems. I haven't been to a chiropractor in 2 years. That's since age 50. So the last 15 to 20 years, my back's doing better by far than it's done. And knock on wood that it continues. But part of it is that I take good care of myself. I mean, I've been doing yoga all along. I mean, I was told when I was 30, I wouldn't be walking by the time I was in my 50s. So, it's degenerative according to them, not according to me, not according to God. God does not read the medical journals, right? So anyway, reason that I mention this, no, not to boast, but to tell you that we have that power. Our minds are that powerful, and we can augment that with energy, which is our emotional frequencies. So if we create an intention where the brain, which is the intention, the thought, blends with the feeling, which is the heart and the emotion, we start to create that. So I do that every day, and I'm being reminded not to slack off just because it's been better, because if nothing else, there's a structural issue. So anyway, so take that as some inspiration. So there's two sides to this coin, I have to say. There's a tendency to heal things that you may have been working on healing for a long time. You're somebody that's been having cancer for years, may suddenly go into remission like that, that kind of a thing, or what I'm describing with my back. But the other side of that coin is there's also a tendency for new health things to show up. So it's really how we align our energies. The poisons of the medicine, right? That's the Scorpio lesson. That's the lesson of the scorpion or the snake. Snake venom can heal. It can be a medicine if it's applied in a certain way in a certain dosage, but it can also kill. So this energy can make you better or it can make you worse. So what you want to do is raise your vibrations and align more with the higher energies. Feel grateful, feel your heart and your brain expanding and opening and connecting to source. And you're going to tap into the positive, into the medicine rather than the poison, right? So what else did we write down? So both tendencies to heal things that were unhealable, but develop new health issues can happen under this energy. Health is in the spotlight in general, and also the working to change habits. You'll get a boost with that also, the healthier habits, improved health, and developing higher abilities as a healer to heal yourself and others. So this is going to help you if you do Reiki to heal yourself. So work on your own self-healing. We're in the storm, right? We talked about that earlier. I did a video just yesterday, so it's fresh on the channel, on practices that you can do. And I'm going to share one of them in a few minutes, actually, but there's other ones on that video that you can do to not only withstand the storm, but to thrive during it. And part of it is that we're subject to more solar frequencies. These are light code activation. They're good things, but in excess, they can be harmful, right? Poison and medicine. And when I was standing out on October 10th here in the Catskills, just seeing beautiful northern lights, stunning colors, even without the night photography. Every time there was a substorm and it surged, I felt it in my body. It's hard to describe. But I felt that at other times when I was just home and I knew that we had a flare or a CME, and I was right because I know what that feels like. So some of us are sensitive to it. So we want to be able to balance the sensitivity, to be able to buffer it so that we can handle it gracefully, but also not to block it so we can benefit from it, because it's part of the awakening. It's how in the physical, the spiritual light is being expressed through the sun. That's the physical counterpart to the spiritual sun or the central sun. And as the central sun is activated, it's activating our sun. And that's what's going on now. So anyway, what else do we have in notes? So health in general, well, I think we talked about everything here. So a few exercises to do. So how are we doing? All right. Good. Yeah. So good that you're doing that, Mary. Hello, Agneta. Welcome. Regenerative medicine. Yes, absolutely. Always working with you tonight, Josh. All right. Something going on tonight. I'll find out. I think I got an email about something going on tonight. I go to wonderful Korean. Oh, good for you, Unspoken. Very good. Yeah, it's been my spotlight for a long time. So anyway, so first thing, grounding and earthing. That's something that slipped my mind when I did the video yesterday. That was an upload. Always want to ground, get your roots strong. We're in the storm, right? We've been warming up to the storm for years. Now we're in it. What was I going to say? Yeah, the regulars know exactly what I'm going to say, right? The trees, like the song from Rush, the oaks and the maples. But how about the oaks and the white pines? White pines are a problem here because the storms blow them down. The root systems are shallow. The oaks not so much because they run their roots very deep. They withstand the storm. Run your roots deep now, and you'll be able to withstand the storm. And not only that, the storm is energy that you can benefit from, right? So grounding, very important. The more grounded you are and the more stronger in your frame you are, the more these higher energies will work on your behalf rather than, again, so you don't want to be ungrounded. Now, the lavender orb meditation. So this was it's a very simple meditation. I'm sure there's 1,000 other teachers that do it, but I never heard of it. I was meditating a couple of days ago for the last video, and they gave me this meditation. All you do is, especially when we're getting solar flares or CMEs or solar activity, like you say, we had 72 plus hours of G2 to G3 solar storming happening. G3 is strong, G2 is moderate, G4 is very strong, G5 is extreme. We may get some G4 plus or G5 later in the autumn. In fact, I'd be surprised if we don't, to be honest. Nothing guaranteed, but I'd still be surprised by that. So especially when the flares are happening, what you do is you get very present like any other meditation. And you can be sitting up or lying down. Get very grounded, feel your shoulders, chin, cheeks, and forehead relax. That's what we do to drop into a meditative state quickly. Then the rest of your body will relax. A few long, deep breaths, inhaling love and light, circulating that around, exhaling any blocked, stuck energy within your energetic fields and around your fields. Get very relaxed. Then in your mind, just create this whole arc, 3-dimensional or 5-dimensional arc over your head, like a semicircle. Or if you want, you can complete the circle in the earth if you want. And it's all lavender, violet and white. And just set the intention, because when you are relaxed and you're not so much in your thinking mind, you're present, your intentions move energies in the astral, in the energetic realms. It's like moving mountains. It's kind of like the same thing, like in the physical, deciding to pick something up and move it. So you can do that with your mind energetically. So if you intend it and feel it and you make it real in your mind, it's real. You create that. And you set the intention that this is a lens that'll help to magnify the positive effects and spiritualize it with that violet and white light. But it buffers any of the, I don't want to say negative, but the extreme effects that could cause physical discomfort or energetic discomfort, basically. So you do that, for about 5 or 10 minutes. You can sit inside a pyramid also. That might augment it. That just came into my mind. So I'd say, especially when you start to hear on space weather news that another storm's coming in, or if you feel it, the magnetic field of the Earth is weakening, so it takes less energy from the sun to cause that kind of input of energy, which again is upgrading, so it's not a bad thing, but it can be a little bit intense. So anyway, a few other things. Do your shadow integration work. I have a whole playlist on that. The 5 exercises, that's the one to go to. If I remember, I might even put that on the pinned comment. But this is the ideal time for shadow integration. We're still in the equinox. It's light and dark. Those shadow aspects, those are the suppressed traumas from this and other lifetimes. They just vibrate at a certain frequency. It affects our health. It affects what we attract into our life, affects our well-being. So if we integrate it into the light, they're not shadows anymore, and then they become sources of power and strength, because you start to call in the lost soul parts. You start to do sort of a soul retrieval when you do your shadow integration. Because when we have traumas and things happen, a part of ourselves gets detached, and we internalize it rather than express and heal it and integrate it. So do your shadow integration work. Do your heart brain coherence always. That's such a powerful practice. Make the heart coherent in gratitude, compassion, and love. Let your heart and your brain blend. Feel in your brain what your heart's feeling, and then expand that to spirit. And I have a whole playlist on how to do heart brain coherence also. Work with nature. So get out into nature more, work with the trees and the wind, and up spiritual exercise. The nervous system and the meridians get amped up. So you want to take good care of your body. Diet's important, especially around the full moon. Eating good and healthy foods that help the nervous system, help the cells, rather than cause more stress in them, because there's higher energies. If there's more stress, you're going to feel them more, basically. So very, very important. Um, and with all the stress in the world, a lot of people's nervous systems just can't handle. They get overamped, and it leads to disease and a lot of emotional problems and traumas and stuff like that. So yoga, amazing practice, different styles of yoga. I like Kundalini and Hatha yoga, so I tend to practice both. Kriya yoga. So there's a lot of different practices, but there's related practices, Tai Chi, Qigong, just walks in nature, doing different breath exercises. The Ascension set, I have a playlist on how to do the Ascension set that I downloaded from Spirit a few years ago. Very simple but powerful that create more space between your cells and atoms, that allows more prana and chi, that flushes out any blocks and cogs, and also intensifies the energies within you. And thanks to Nita and everybody that's adding your comments. We appreciate you. So there's something else I was going to say about that. About um, expanding that and allowing more frequencies in. All right, I lost my train of thought. Maybe I need some water. They go empty. Yeah, go exactly. So Mary, so you go empty. You find shunya, that 0 point, that's presence. When you find that, you blend with the quantum field or the realm of spirit, and you draw on all that power. You become one with that rather than cut off from that. Gosh darn, there's something else I wanted to mention. Let me see if it's in my notes. Nervous system more random. So yoga related practices are very potent right now. As you higher frequencies, you'll benefit more from the higher frequencies. So yeah, we just basically, like with all this energy, we can get more ramped up. And it just came back to me. Do anything that's going to make you more elastic and fluid. Our programming, the social conditioning, all that stuff, it tightens our bodies, it tightens our energetic fields. There's no elasticity, but we need flow. Otherwise, energy gets stuck. So it's part of the Ascension set is allowing you to create more elasticity. When you walk, feel your whole body engage in your walk. So do walking meditation. It's like when I take a step, I feel my whole body gently stretch. I engage my entire body when I walk, when I move. And I'll do things where I stretch in and out, stretch in and out, create that elasticity, do flow exercises to create more flow within me. The worst thing is to get stagnant energetically right now. If you can be more in the flow, more elastic, um, and more fluid in the body and the energy field, then you're going to allow more positive energy to flow through. You're going to benefit from it more, and you're going to heal, because it's going to start to release those energetic cogs that are the seeds of the physical and emotional diseases that we have. Without that, if you didn't have the seeds or the soil for disease to grow upon, then the pathogens out there wouldn't affect you as much or at all. So anyway, I think that's it. So let's do a few divination cards and see what else Spirit can input. So tomorrow, I think 7, we're going to do the energy work with the master teachers. They work with you to help to increase the flows of energy and raise the frequencies in order to help to clear things and to energize. So this is essential work we've been doing for the last 5 years or so, and some of you have been doing it. I've seen changes in a lot of you, so keep doing the good work. It's an ongoing process, and it's very powerful around the full and new moon. So we get together on the channel every full moon, do it. Sometimes with Heather, who does a healing transmission. I just feel like Spirit's telling me to do this one alone, so I will. And then we do more work that's even, we go a step farther on Spirit Mind Family. That's the Patreon group. Somebody, thank you, Jason. I love you. Thank you for the super sticker. Great stuff. Thank you so much. So Oh yes, on Spirit Mind Family. That's the Patreon group. It's a $5 monthly donation, they call it, or pledge is what they call it. Then we do more energy work, more transmission work to assist you in your upgrades, to accelerate your spiritual process, and to also to accelerate the healing, and to do this in a more of a safe way. So it's very valuable work. And chances are you'll feel it if you do. You'll feel the energies going through you when we do this work. So that's Spirit Mind Family. There'll be a way. There'll be a link to join when this becomes a. I think in the description, but when this becomes a video, which is right after the live stream ends, it'll be on the pinned comment. So I have my Starseed Oracle deck. That's the first one I grabbed. All right, so I'm trying to glance at your comments. I know I'm missing quite a few. And thank you for you guys. I know that some of you are posting your suggestions and what you would suggest that we do. I wish I could see all of them. Well, that's the thing, Karen. It's crowdfunding. The idea, I mean, right now the group is pretty small, but the idea is the channel grows. If I get hundreds of people on, it's good for you because you're only paying $5, but it's good for me because it adds up. So it's called crowdfunding, and it supports the channel basically. So anyway, let me get out of my thinking mind so that Spirit can guide me to the right cards here. Yeah, I feel like my Arcturian guides are working with me right now. Earth, that's what it says. Earth, who's Earth here? Learning how to be human in the world, but not of it. What a great message that is. Simple, to the point. That's what we're doing. We're learning how to be human. Those of us that are starseeds, even if you're an old soul starseed like myself, that have been through lots of incarnation, we're learning the Earth school, right? We're learning how to be human so that we can transcend the human, and then we can take all that information back to source and back to our extraterrestrial roots so they can benefit. I've been told through channelings that we're greatly admired in the cosmos for our resiliency. That and they're talking to me now. They're saying no matter how many times you humans get knocked down, you brush it off, you get up, and you're stronger than ever. So resiliency, and they're learning resiliency from us. So we're teaching them, and they're teaching what they know about ascension, and that what we need to do to get to our next level, because we're still quite primitive according to them also. And I know that we're quite primitive still. They could go off into a side subject of AI, and how I really found out by using ChatGPT, intrinsically how it kind of draws on this field of intelligence that we all draw on. I wouldn't say that it's alive and sentient, but it draws on this field of intelligence. And I really believe that it's partially alien technology, because I just don't see humans on their own being evolved enough to create this tool. I could be wrong. It's just my belief based on information I received. Somebody else super sticker. Oh, I almost missed you. I can't miss Susan Sunnyverse. She's Suzette Sunnyverse. Thank you all for your beautiful generosity. Oh, the moon's outside. Yes, it's already very new. Yeah. Yeah, good point. We are primitive. Some people are more primitive than others, but there are planets out there, or realities, or dimensions out there that are a lot more primitive than us yet. We should give ourselves credit because we have come a long way, and we are on the threshold of that shift from primitive to evolved human. It's like the baby that's learned how to crawl, getting up and beginning to learn how to walk. So we're just starting to get off the floor now as a species, from crawling to walking. And imagine, the difference when the baby starts to walk, a whole new world opens up to that baby. Just kind of like when the Spanish introduced the horses to the Mexicans and then to the natives of North America. It's like it opened up a whole new world because they could cover more distance, basically. And that's one of the reasons that horses represent freedom. So that's the Starseed Oracle. Of course, I have to do the Moonology deck. Very exciting time to be alive. Exactly. Thank you, Karen. Because it's a full moon, I gotta do the Moonology deck, right? And I'll flip over backwards. Maybe not literally. If I pull full moon in Aries, that would be such a hoot. Spirit, you can do full moon in Aries. No, they'll say we will direct you to the right card. Well, we got a full moon, but it's in Cancer, so it's in the squaring sign. It's another cardinal sign, so Cancer squares Aries. A personal issue reaches resolution. So this may be a message for some of us on the thread here to let us know that we've been going through a personal issue. And what's the Cancerian moon? Well, the moon is in its rulership in Cancer, so it's very strong. It's very nurturing. It's very motherly in its energy. It's very much of the Earth Mother vibration, as well as the moon. Cancerians at one point they wanted to change the name because cancer is also a disease, so they wanted to change the name to Moonchild because it's lunar ruled. So it's just really saying us really get into this full moon energy now. That it's going to have a message for all of us, is what I'm getting. Depending on where you're at in your life, in your spiritual evolution, your experiences, we're all going to get our own messages about how we can upgrade, in the next 72 hours. So when you're meditating, just maybe either go out and meditate on the moon. I mean, some cultures believe that you shouldn't stare at the full moon. Honor your belief system, obviously, but you can still be out in the moon and not stare. I mean, I always gaze at the full moon myself, but the point being is absorb that energy, and you're going to get your own unique message of what you need to do to resolve a personal issue, basically, as well as a spiritual issue. So let me do one more, and I know we're at the hour already. I'm going to try to keep this to an hour. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me hide that. Yeah, the Vedic astrology. Dorian told me the proper pronunciation of that is it's amazing also. And then I think I in the very beginning I kind of jumped off that thought of that from a perspective of planetary geometry. Neptune and Saturn are conjunct. Spirit saying that I said that already. Did I? But in Western astrology, they're in different signs. I don't know if that's considered a conjunction anymore, even though they're only 3 degrees off. But in the Vedic system, they're both in Pisces, so it doesn't matter, right? But when we're talking about energetics and how the electromagnetism that affects our consciousness, collective consciousness, as well as meteorological and geological activity, that geometry is very strong and it's very active. So we have very strong planetary geometry enhanced by the full moon, I might add. So what frequency should we be working on in this full moon? That is the question. Full harvest moon, exactly, Karen. Anybody wants to sing Neil Young's Harvest Moon? I forgot how that goes. I can hear it in my mind now. Okay. Beautiful song. I zeroed in on it. I found my card. They're telling me to pull the card under it. So I did. And the reason that they told me to pull the card under it, it's key 17. And the full moon in Greenwich Mean Time is going to be on a 17 universal day, which is the star. It's inspiration. It's spiritual. Everything the star card represents. Aquarian energy, Uranus energy, evolution, revolution. But in these and the what's it called? The Sacred Geometry Activation Oracle. The message is the frequency of consciousness supports our ability to focus our attention on all the multidimensional aspects that show up so that we can include them in our reality. So you can also get the energy by gauging in the middle. But I feel like that's a good final message from Spirit, reminding us that we're having a full moon here in this physical dimension, but there's a corresponding energy that's happening in all the dimensions. So what happened in this dimension, there's a what's the right word? A reflection or a corresponding shift that's happening in all the dimensions and all the realities. So this is a good full moon, they're saying, to really integrate your multidimensional self also. And the heart is the great integrator. And you could call a Metatron, Metatron's cube, because Metatron draws in the powers of the central sun or the Christ consciousness or Christed one, as it were. But it also helps to integrate the different realities within the heart space. So you can work with Archangel Metatron and let the heart be the unifying field and start to develop more multidimensional awareness. And then things will line up in this dimension that are supported by other dimensions. And the long and the short of it is that you're going to receive more spiritual information, to cut to the chase of that. So anyway, I think that's a pretty awesome way to end. And yeah, we're a little over 24 hours away from the full moon. At 7 o'clock, we're going to do the transmission with the master teacher to energetically sink into and vibrate in these higher energies to help to encourage your accelerated ascension safely and to blend more with spirit and your higher self. It's also very intuitive. The full moon is highly intuitive and highly psychic. So this could be point number 6. So even though it's Aries, it's got that powerful Mars energy with it. So very direct, very strong. So meditating on it and expanding and working with that also is going to enhance your intuition. It's October, the veils are thin and getting thinner. It's going to enhance your ability to connect with your loved ones on the other side, or maybe others if you're mediumistic, your guide, your angels, great source to enhance your healing abilities, enhance your intuition, and enhance your guidance. So that is what we have. 7 p.m. tomorrow. Yeah, I decided 7 p.m. And then notice a few people just got on. We went up a few on the count. So we're ending now, but go back to the beginning and you'll catch the whole live stream. And it'll take me a few minutes, but I'll actually timestamp when we begin. Because the first 3 minutes or so, I'm saying my hello. So that might take a minute or two, but it's only a few minutes. All right, again, thank you, everybody. We love you. And happy birthday, Millie. So may you get some beautiful, sweet surprises on your birthday. And we will see you at the next video. Love you.